Well, it's Monday morning, the first, I guess, working day of my sabbatical, and I'm just trying to face the horrors that are sorting out our forecabin so that I can start work on the watertight bulkheads in there. You can see it's a bit full at the moment, and what I need to do is get this new toy, which is designed for us to be able to keep our resin warm enough that it stays liquid. And to go with that, we've got a temperature thermostating socket. So my goal is to end up with an insulated cabinet, this in the bottom and this keeping it at the optimum temperature for the resin. But first I've got to clear some space, and at the moment we've got tools just dumped because we were bringing them all here and just haven't had a chance to sort them out. So it's a nice few days, so all the timber can go on deck, and that sheets of insulation you can see there, that can go on deck, and then hopefully we can make some sense of the tools and get started on that forecabin. If I can get these watertight bulkheads done, then we actually have that available as a storage space, which will make life a lot easier. So it's 11:30 Monday morning. We've got somewhere. I've managed to get it so that I can get into the forecabin, and if we go and look in there, I'm waiting for my resin to become liquid again before I can actually do the things. Let's just turn the camera around and show you what I'm doing. Once my resin has become liquid again, I want to fill that edge and wrap fiberglass cloth around both sides there of that forward watertight locker. We've got some Pepsi Max bottles which will be re-inflated, and they will act as buoyancy within there. I've then been working on getting this bulkhead to fit. Next step for that is to cut away the old floor here so that it can drop in neatly. That will be the forward end of the anchor locker. And then I think one of my next jobs is going to be removing this trim from the old doorway. I want to do two things. Firstly, we want to make the door somewhat wider, so that it's wider than shoulder width, but only as far down as about the top of the bunk level. Then taking the trim off will then allow me to remove the veneer, because it's not properly glued on. We can't use that behind our watertight bulkhead. And then measure and fit a piece across here so that at about this level, I think, somewhere above the waterline anyway, that will become another watertight bulkhead, and that area there then is where the chain will get stored. Once I've got those two bulkheads in, I'll just put some shelving on top of everything so that we can use the space. Then I've got my resin warming up on that food warmer. So I'm not yet using this to control its temperature, but just to record what temperature that probe just in there is reaching. So these two resins are slowly becoming more liquid. Currently the base is at about 40 degrees, so it should gradually ease up. That fan noise you can hear, by the way, is the dehumidifier that we're running there. We figure it keeps the bilge nice and dry, avoids us building up moisture. And then if we go up onto deck, I want to do some major sorting out of the cockpit. I've started putting the tools to go home because we have duplicates there, and I want to clear our cockpit locker lid here so that I can actually store some stuff inside it. And then on my aft deck I've got my miter saw now set up, and on the main cabin roof, the jigsaw and circular saw ready for use. So hopefully that will allow me to make good progress this afternoon, if that resin will finally decide to go liquid. Well, that's taken me by surprise a bit. I've just cut out the timber support here for the old floor. That one was already gone, and I've been planning to use that as to fit to the new anchor locker bulkhead too, but look at how little there was just at the bottom here holding it in place. There's no GRP there at all, just a tiny little tab at the bottom, and most of it is silicone. So, well, glad I found that out, and my new bulkhead won't be tabbed to this bit of ply, because this bit of ply isn't fitted to the boat. This is partly what we were saying about the good things about the Rival, is that these little bits here are not really adding a lot of structure to the boat, and by the time that we've put in a new base here, which the chain will rest on so it doesn't rest on the hull, we'll be able to make that a whole lot stronger. Okay, so it's my first day working on the boat during my sabbatical coming to an end, and this is where I've got to. Pause while I switch the camera around. If anyone knows of a quick way to turn a GoPro microphone from the Media Mod from front to back, that would be really great. So, forecabin got cleared. We're now ready to epoxy block up that hole there. It was filled with silicone, so all that's been cleared. Then got pretty much properly shaped this lower half of the forward end of the anchor locker, and what I've decided to do is fill underneath the bottom of the V, bed that timber on thickened epoxy, fill the edges, and then one little bit of fairing and glass fibre cloth, so that's beautifully smooth and water will run down it. Spinning around, hopefully without killing myself, and I've taken the trim off the sides of the door. Most of it actually came off okay, so I can reuse it. Taken off the lower part of the veneer, and this height here is where we're going to put the bulkhead across and block off that doorway. That is about 15 centimetres above the waterline and about 15 centimetres below the level of the bunk. So we'll block off to there, and what I've now decided is going to be much simpler to pump out any water that ends up in the chain locker. Here will be a hose going through into the floor of the shower compartment and up to a pump, a little hand pump, and that will then lead out bang through that skin fitting there, which is original. It's above the waterline, it's from the old shower, so we'll put hose on there, looping up to avoid siphoning in, down, and a pump somewhere here. So any water that ends up in the anchor lock, in the chain locker, can be pumped out through there. The shower where I'm standing will go to a grey water tank, so it doesn't need that skin fitting anymore. So hopefully we'll soon be ready to start putting the epoxy on all of this stuff. Just got to do a bit of sanding of the hull so I'll get good adhesion. And I've had my epoxy resin sitting on the food heater at about 40 degrees, or since about 11 o'clock, I guess, and it's nearly fully liquid but not quite. And then to help me be a bit more efficient, I've gone and fitted some temporary steps
into the cockpit locker because it's almost impossible to get out without them, and that means I've been able to store stuff that I'm not going to need for quite a while in there, freeing up space in the cabin. So it's been a beautiful day. It still is a beautiful day, but that wind is coming from the northeast, I think, certainly north in it, so it's quite cold, but good progress. Very happy with where we've got to today. Just going to put the final tools away and have dinner. See you tomorrow. Hi, it's Tuesday, day 4 of my sabbatical. It's 1:30 at the moment. Not had an incredibly productive morning. I did do the first run of a couch to 5k because I think it's about time I got back to doing that. But in terms of the actual progress on the boat, it's been a bit slow. So let me turn the camera around and show you where we're at. This is my major frustration really. Despite heating it all day yesterday, the nearer resin, which is nearly finished now, still has a lump that's solid in the bottom. I've got my thermostat controlling the food warmer. So this wire here goes to a temperature control, which I'm putting sort of hanging between the two bottles of resin, and I've just upped the temperature, so it's now set to between 30 and 33 degrees. So hopefully that last lump will now turn back to liquid. Because it was so warm though, that means it reacts much more quickly to the hardener, so you kind of have to pour it, let it cool a little bit, and even so it reacts very quickly, although today I'm using the slow activator. What I was trying to do in the Forecabin, I have succeeded in one thing. I've got that old drain hole filled, and on this side I've got a bit of plywood fitted with thickened epoxy, so confident that's blocked up. Where I'm less happy is I've been filling along that stringer. Remembered I should have cut a small scrap of plywood to take some of the volume there, because it's just using the resin up so quickly. I'm having a pause for lunch and to gather energy and enthusiasm. As I was preparing, I did discover that we've got a little patch there where we didn't wet out the glass fibre properly, so that's a bit disappointing. There's going to be a bit to be ground off and put back on. It's not very pretty, the rest of it, but the rest of that bulkhead has gone off nicely, so I think that'll be fine. I've ordered a whole load more resin. It should be here in a couple of days. Will be good. But I will go now and for the first time go and do an unboxing, because I've had an Amazon parcel. Woohoo! So let's get that open. Actually, I've got one unboxing I've already done. Couldn't wait. From one green bottle, an Epic, and Tough, I think this one's called. 2 more metal water containers. This one's not insulated. It's 1.2 litres, all metal cap, no plastic in the packaging, no plastic in the water bottle, so a lot better for us to drink from, and they're not really very heavy to carry. And then this one is an Epic. This is 2 litres, but it's insulated. So again, it's a metal lid, apparently filled with water, being insulated. That's going to be handy for epic journeys in our dinghy in the future. It's all made of stainless steel, and just means I don't have to go down to the clubhouse to fill up with water quite so often. Okay, and really nice packaging. Cardboard. I wonder what we can use that tube for. Pity you can't mix resin in it, but never mind. Okay, the next is a couple of packages that came from via Amazon. I'm sorry, but it's just so cheap and convenient that I hate buying from Amazon. But anyway, this is to do with our heating, to try and reduce the energy cost here in the boatyard. We do have, you can just see it in the corner of the picture, this infrared heater here, which is I think 300 watt, and we've got a much smaller one half the size in the aft cabin. They're really cheap ones. They're not from a company that doesn't exist anymore, so I can't recommend them. We looked at some British ones and they are fantastic, but they're so expensive and they don't really do small ones, which is what we need for the boat. So the first thing that the basic ones don't come with is any form of control. We've got these sockets with, so you just plug the heater into that normal main socket, and then you get
a remote thermostat, timer and control. Basically all we do is we have those so that they turn on to keep the temperature at what we want. Infrared heaters seem to be getting a brilliant reputation for if you want to use electric only heating as being really comfortable heat. It feels like the sun and very energy efficient. Obviously while we're on main supply at the boatyard we're not short of electricity, but as soon as we possibly can want to get so that we're reducing the energy taken from the boatyard by getting our solar working. I've got two controllers, one for the after cabin and one for the main cabin. And then what did I put? I thought I'd put the scissors ready. I'll pause and find the scissors right in front of me, of course. That's what you need Jane here for, because she always finds everything I lose. Right. This is one of those, I think, ridiculously large boxes for something that's relatively small. Ooh, as I thought, less than half full. Amazon, we hate you, but you are very cheap. This is two smaller infrared panels, and the idea is to put one of these just between the, can you, am I pointing the right way? Between the companionway where the wheelhouse roof is a bit higher, so between the companionway and the hatch. Good grief, I'm hopeless at pointing the camera from that direction, aren't I? So companionway is closed at the moment because the wind's blowing straight at it, but that place just between the two is where I want to put one of them, and the other one either for our bed or possibly for our heads. And I can put one controller for each cabin, or both heaters in that cabin. Right, well, this already has a very different bracket system to the other ones that we had, which were kind of like a what's often used for a TV, so that kind of universal TV bracket. This is what's so great about one of these panels. They are so thin, small, minimalist, light, and all you need to do is plug them in. What we've got here. Oh, well, that's very handy. Template for where you mount screws. I think Mads on Sail Life said every thing you buy for a boat ought to come with a template. So Mads, you can buy your infrared panels, these cheap ones from Amazon. I'll end up hopefully putting a link in the description because they come with a template. This is size 60 by 30 centimeters, 170 watts. It's going to be really exciting, we think, to see how much can we actually manage to heat the boat from our solar panels. So it's Wednesday, sabbatical, day 5. I've had a bit of an interrupted day with a couple of hours on Zoom and so on. I'm also short of the microfibers for thickened epoxy, and I've got more coming either Thursday or Friday. So instead I've been playing with the bits of tin, 2 bits there that will infill that. I then cut these with the table saw, and that will go, now I remember which way round it goes. So that will go in there with thickened epoxy so that I can glass fibre, let's get hand in the right place, glass fibre up, over and round without it having to go round too sharp an angle. So I've got 2 of those. Cut a piece of wood in half, you get 2 pieces. So one for each side there. Just move them out of the way for a second. I've then prepared the lid, so that goes nicely on the top there. and this is going to be rest on a bed of thickened epoxy on top of those stringers once they've been covered with glass fibre cloth, thickened epoxy around the edges and then covered with glass fibre, and we will create an opening in here so that we can drop the Coke bottles as buoyancy inside it, and also then get through to repair anything. I've looked and I think I'm actually going to be cheaper and easier to make my own hatch, so just cut an insert and put that on a bigger backing plate. Then moving a little bit further up, I've cut my two side pieces, 1, 2, so those get epoxied in to spread the load for that bulkhead to fit on top of them. Not a lot to show for today, getting prep ready, so Jane will be here tomorrow evening and then we can have a weekend and get lots of glass fibre done together. That's where we are. It's a beautifully sunny day, you can see blue sky, but the wind is a bit stronger today and from the north again, northeast, so it's quite a cold wind but still very pleasant. That's all for today. Bye. Thursday lunchtime, and this morning I've been for my second Couch to 5k run and been editing the video you have been watching. Now for the afternoon it's time to get ready for Jane to come. I wanted to think that I've kept everything tidy and sorted, as well as providing her with a nice meal when she gets here after work today. We've really appreciated the comments and extra subscribers and views, so please like and comment to encourage us on this journey.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up.